Okay, so I'm watching a Jordan Peterson clip where he's talking about so desire and meta desire, biology and culture, and so he starts off the speak talking about taking his son to a hockey game, and then he gets into this whole concept. The turn of phrase. It's not how you, it's not whether you win or lose, but how you play the game. So he's sort of gone in on this theory of life as a game. But I remember it's funny, like I played a lot of sports growing up, like a lot of sports. I love sports. Like I love playing sports. I don't love watching sports. Ironically, I'm not really much of a like. I mean, the odd time I'll get caught up. I went through a period where I was obsessed with tennis. I went through a period. I go through these weird phases, but there was a time when I was obsessed with tennis. There was a time when I was obsessed with. I do love to watch volleyball, but I also played volleyball. But I never played tennis, but I played volleyball, played basketball, ran track, um, cross country. Like I did a lot of stuff, and I remember it's one of those one of those coming of age moments. We were on a volleyball team. Well, we played volleyball. It was volleyball. Well, no, it wasn't a tournament. It was an exhibition game. So a game that's not part of our normal season, and we were I guess it was our co-ed, so it was guys girls playing together, which was I thought so much fun because because it bigs the game up a notch, right? I mean, yeah, it just does. So, anyways, um, brings the game up a notch. So we ended up, uh, I guess our coach scheduled this exhibition game with this other team, and this team was like, and we were ballers, like for our for our cohort. We were really good. We were like a really, very first of all, very athletic school at large, but our team was a really good team, and we came up against these guys, and they were amazing. Like they were like the best I've ever seen any at that time, anyways. Seen any young team play. And it was really weird. What's really weird about them was that they kind of looked like us. They were like their uniforms were kind of like we were like red, white, and blue, and they were like red, yellow, and blue. Like it was really creepy. Anyways, so we ended up playing them, and I think we lost the first game, and we were getting about halfway. I don't. I guess it was yeah. I guess it was halfway through the second. Because I think with volleyball it's like best two out of three when you're that young, right? And in fact, I don't even think did we play a two out of three. We might have played longer because it was an exhibition game. So just for the sake of getting extra plays in, we might have played longer. But anyways, the point is uh, at one point, our coach sort of calls a timeout and he calls us all over to him and you're expecting to get the whatever, the I guess the pep talk. But it's really interesting. He calls us over and he just takes a minute to look at us and he asks us, so what do you think? And we're all like, yeah, no, God, these guys, they're really good. They're really good. Like he's like, yeah, they're better than you've ever played before. And we were like, yeah, they were like amazing. Like, yeah. He's like, yeah. Um, and then he was like, so, uh, so this is an opportunity, basically. We were kind of like, what? And he's like, this is an opportunity to just like don't like. So basically, what he did was he said, don't worry about it. Just sort of accept it. They're better than you now. Now you're free to just play. Just accept that they're better than you are. Now you're free to just play. And it was like this light just, you know, went off. I was like, and I remember just relaxing, like, And it was like we weren't worried about winning. We weren't worried about losing because we kind of figured, okay, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose because these guys are amazing. And now we could just play. Now we could just play, and we did. And to be honest, I don't remember if we won or lost the game, but I remember we played better than we had ever played before, and it was one of the most. That was like one of the best games, most fun. Just I loved it. And it was that moment of just being able to not have to think about, not worry about. Because the other thing with being a really good team, a lot of people think you walk into the arena or walk into the situation just sort of just balls out, so much confidence. But I've always found that sometimes it's easier to be the underdog because nobody's expecting anything from you, right? So you can just go in there and just play, you know, and um, and it's usually harder when the expectations are there because then you've got something to live up to, you've got something to lose, right? But if you've got nothing to lose, like you're just in there, and it's not even like you're not worried about, like it's not there's no head games about it, there's no cockiness, there's nothing. You're just there to have a groovy time, you're just there to play, so you get in there, and it's great, especially if you are up against somebody who's really good, because they make you better, because there's no room for error, right? They just make you better, so you've got to pull up, and that was always like uh, fun for me. Well, not like I shouldn't say it was like it was fun, but it wasn't that it was fun. It was that it was it was the best way to play. Free of stress, free of expectation, free of all of that. So just you're just there because you love it. You play because you love it, and you play well because you're playing somebody who plays well, you know. Like sometimes it's not enough to be good at something. I don't think, I think that sometimes being good at something makes you tense. It makes you kind of feel like you have to live up to something. It messes your game. Um, and it messes with your head, you know. Uh, so like, and the thing is, and I think this comes out of schooling too, and the kinds of coaches that I had in school, where it wasn't it like being good didn't matter as much. It's so cheesy, but it's so true. But being good didn't matter as much as execution. Could you execute the play? Do you know why you were running that drill? What were you trying to achieve? Could you call a play? Why were you calling that play? Can you command where the ball goes? Are you calm? Right? Are you playing your game? Right? Like those kinds of things were so much more important than winning and losing. Because, and I didn't really know why when I was younger. Like that was the first time that game where he looked at us and he's like, "So what do you think?" And we were like, "Oh my God, they're killing us." And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, good, yeah. Now just go play." That was like the first time that I experienced that relief. That somebody's giving you permission to lose, not permission to be bad. Right? It's not about being bad at the game, but permission to lose, which frees you to be good at the game. It's weird, but it's weird. It's kind of like that. And a couple years later, I had another coach. Oh God! And this this guy was brutal. I mean, he was a great coach. He actually was a phenomenal coach. I mean, I think I mean, if I took it seriously, sports, it was because of this this coach that I had, and uh, and he was all about the execution. he was all about the elegance of the game, right? And being an elegant player. Um, he was all about the principles and the philosophy and the motivations, your head, your mind, your psychology. Um, and I remember him saying to me one time, because he was, it's this early in the season, and he's like, so where did you play before? Who was your coach? Da, da, da. So we were having a conversation. He's like, oh yeah, I know, he knew who my old coach was, and he was like, um, so you could like, so he knows, so you come from a strong team, and I'm like, of course. And he was like, um, but now you're gonna learn how to play the game. And I was like, I know how to play the game. He's like, no, you don't. You don't know how to play the. You know how to win. I'm gonna teach you how to play the game. And he did. Um, and I learned the difference. Even as good as my first coach was, the truth is we were very good at winning. You know, but and that day where we had that, we were playing against that team that was so freaking good. That day was the first time that I understood the difference between knowing how to win and knowing how to play. And that there was, I didn't know that that's what the lesson was, but that's what it was. And then later I had a coach who lived and breathed by that philosophy, that it was more important that you understood placement and you understood, flow, and you understood the rotation, and you understood, the flick of the wrist, and you like, and all of these little things added up to um, loving the sport, loving the sport, not playing the sport, loving the sport, not even winning the sport, loving the sport. And that brought you to a whole other level. It was like a whole other experience of playing, and so it mattered who we were playing against, you know, um, and it was never fun to play against a team that you could just beat, right? You wanted to play against a team that was challenging, that could bring up your game, you know. Um, you had an appreciation for it. Sometimes, I mean, not all the time, but I can remember having moments where you think this is like, if you're against somebody who's really really good. Um, so if it's your team is good and their team's good, and you think, God, I wish I was watching this game. It's such a good game, but it's very rare. It's very rare, but it happens, and it's that appreciation for the quality of the sport, right? That they understand, that they understand the same things you understand, right? And they're trying to execute the way that you're trying to execute, and they're getting the placement, and they're getting the, and they maybe they're outplacing you, which is so frustrating. There's nothing, and I mean, I started to move away from volleyball when blocking became important, because I am not tall, so so that was frustrating, but you know there's nothing like having two people just go up to and form a wall and just deny you access to their side of the court. It's horrible and amazing at the same time. But yeah, yeah, how you play the game, I think, makes all the difference in the world. Because how you like your investment in playing the game well is what makes um playing it worthwhile. You know, it makes all the difference. It is, there's a difference between winning and playing. Knowing how to win, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know how to win, but knowing how to play is a whole other ethic. It's a whole other level. It's a whole other discipline. You know, um, and I guess there's an aspect to my feeling about things that has to do with this the difference between discipline and everything else. A lot of life, I think, is everything else. So life is the everything else a lot of times. But the discipline is the discipline. Right? The discipline is the discipline. And it's a little hard right now to know how to align myself with respect to discipline. But on some core level, it's an essential part of every day. To me, to my mind, it's an essential part of every day is the discipline. Is the technique. I'm not like a rigid person. Like, I'm not about and it has to be 90. The 90-degree angle has to. I'm not a rigid person, but I don't necessarily equate discipline with rigidity either, right? I believe that discipline is a commitment that you have in your heart and in your soul, a commitment that you have to quality of purpose. Yeah. And then everything else sort of comes from that. And it's hard sometimes to get footing. Well, what can I apply that to? I'm a little bit in that space sometimes. Right now, I think, what do I apply that to? But at the core, that's what at the core, this commitment to quality of purpose. And that's it, And I don't know that it necessarily comes out of playing sports, but I think but the thing with sports is that you get to experience that in a very defined, it becomes a very defined experience. It's very clear. It's very crystallized in my mind, that feeling. Because I hate to lose too. I'm a really bad loser. I'm a very bad loser. I hate to lose. So it was shocking to me to play a game, like a game that I love. I love playing this game. To play the game that I love and love playing against people who were better. That was like this. This is so bizarre. I should be frustrated. I should be scared. But I had the best time. And then there's something to this idea. It's not about winning and losing. It's how you play the game. And maybe the thing is that it can't be about winning and losing, because winning and losing isn't real anyways. The only thing that is real is execution, is the discipline, right? The winning and losing, that's over. And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, right? To win or to lose is a finite experience. Life is all of the moments in between those experiences. And your ability to execute on all of the moments between winning and losing is life. That's all of it. It's everything. Right? That's all of it. I think it's hardcore. I think it's a hardcore existence. That idea of there's a technique to everything. I believe in that. That there is this space. And that it is you're back at it every day, chipping away at it every day, uncovering the layers, exposing the truth of the thing. And it's a commitment. It's a discipline. It's a way of life.